I am calling the Borough of Beach Haven regular meeting to order at 7:04 on March 11th, and the flag salute will be led by me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in the Beach Haven Municipal Building and mailing the same to the Beach Haven Times, the Asbury Park Press, and the Press of Atlantic City. Mr. Allen.
Here.
Mrs. Ball Miller. Here. Mayor Davis.
Here.
Mr. Lynch. Mr. Maskell.
Okay.
Sorry, Missy.
So our first presentation, we're starting off with the presentations tonight, is the Beach Haven Volunteer Fire Company.
First aid squad.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Ken Perry. I'm from the Beach Haven First Aid Squad. I'm the chairman of the Board of Trustees. Apparently I missed the meeting and I was elected chairman. So.
Always happens.
Yeah, typically what happens, during our induction meeting, we present these numbers, and it's more of a festive thing, and sometimes the numbers get lost. So we've been presenting these. We present them to Ship Bottom, Long Beach Township, and just a very brief, review, kind of the state of the union of the Beach Haven First Aid Squad. But in particular, we want to thank the Borough of Beach Haven, the governing body, administration, the fire department, Office of Emergency Management, Department of Public Works, and special thank you to the police department. Because the Beach Haven Police Department are the true first responders. They get there before us, and we could not do the job of providing EMS service to Beach Haven or Long Beach Island without them. So a special thank you to Chief Markowski and his police department. The officers as a group are the best community policing officers we work with. They not only protect us during this, but they're really compassionate, And there's one thing about being a policeman, but there's another thing about being compassionate and caring. So we can't thank them enough, and thank you very much for that. So there's been many changes in the Beach Haven First Aid Squad last year. The one in particular was governed by the state. So the state passed a bill, which was Assembly Bill 4925, that required all EMS services at ALS and BLS to report their data, call data to the state using NEMSIS, which is National Emergency Medical Service Information Systems. So we implemented that last year, and we were the first squad on the island to meet that deadline, which was January 1st of 2018. We had to buy some equipment, 5 iPads, tough books, and it's a new technology, and some of us are not as technology savvy as others, so it was a lot of trial and error, but we did get to that point, and we provide that data to the state. And I'm going to give you some of that data at the very end in a minute or two. In conjunction with these changes of providing this data to the state, we now have a medical director, Dr. Ken Lavelle. So he oversees our operation as our medical support. He is available for 24 hours a day. And I personally have called him on calls while going for whether I could give epinephrine or something to a child that doesn't meet our standards. So it is really nice that we have him on board. And over the years, the Beach Haven First Aid Squad has morphed into a true EMS service. We not only have EMTs, but we have registered respiratory therapists, nurses, physical therapists, paramedics, all cross-trained to be EMTs. We maintain 2 district buildings, Beach Haven and Ship Bottom, Beach Haven being our namesake, so thank you. And we do have a staging area in Long Beach Township. We operate 5 ambulances, 2 high water vehicles, and of course, a administrative vehicle. Some people ask, well, why do you have 5 vehicles? Right? It's a small town, but we're a summer community. And last year we had 4 episodes where we had all 5 ambulances out at one time. And we had multiple occasions where we had 3 and 4 ambulances out at all at one time. We updated all of our ambulances last year to electric power lifters. And what that does, it allows us to run with just 2 crew members because the stretcher is lifted into the ambulance by a mechanism. We also provide epinephrine, Narcan, as well as the police officers, quick clot for hemorrhages, and the state now approved us to utilize nebulizers, providing aerosol therapy for COPDers, emphysema, and acute exacerbations of reactive airway disease. And what this does, it's kind of what the medics do. And a lot of times on the island, the medics can't get to us, so we have another tool that we can prevent possible exacerbations in these patients, so it's very, very good. So here's the data we got from the state. Last year, we responded to 1,224 calls dispatched by county. That does not include, of course, scheduled regattas, Chowderfest, 18-mile run, and things like this. These are just dispatch calls. So you would think on average, oh, that's 100 calls a month. That's not too bad. But that's not how we work on the island, you know. So in June, July, and August, we averaged over 200 calls, and July being our highest number of 233 calls in July. And some of the statistics are interesting. 62% of all of our calls happen between the hours of 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. So you kind of know what's going on there. So the response time average for Beach Haven First Aid Squad was 9 minutes. The county 90th percentile was 17 minutes. So we're well below the average for the county. And that doesn't include, you know, the fact that the police, and we do dispatch EMTs directly to the scene. That's when an ambulance actually gets pulled for responding to the county. So we also provide oxygen tank refills and inspection hydro testing for all the oxygen on the south end of the island, Shipon, Beach Haven, Long Beach Township. Last year, we hydro tested and filled over 200 oxygen tanks for the fire department, Beach Haven Police, and for the beach patrol. In closing, so that is it. So I'm sorry to take up all your time. We want to just thank you guys, in particular, the police department. You've had the chance to work with them. They are exceptional. And some of the newer ones my kids went to school with, and it's kind of interesting to see. They're wonderful people. So thank you, Beach Haven, the borough, for everything you do for the Beach Haven First Aid Squad.
Well, we want to thank you for everything you do for us and everybody on the island. And I know it's a volunteer commitment, and there's a lot of dedicated people that participate, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our next is the presentation of the Victoria Rose, the revised proposal.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, people, persons. Nick Talbaki. I'm going to be very brief. This is really going to be Tom or Susie talking. So this is what we call Phase 2. It's certainly not approved. We ask you to consider it. If there's interest, we'd be happy to further discuss it, meet with the neighbors. Essentially, as you may know, Mr. Susie bought an additional 10,000 square feet. So the property would go from 20 to 30,000. It would increase by 4 units. The height would come down. The pool would go underground. There'd be more parking, less density. I think lower coverage and more parking and a loading space. So we think it attempts to address a lot of the concerns we heard during the prior meeting. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tom and let him run with it.
Good evening, Tom Bertucci. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So Nick gave a basic brief description. I'll try to get into a little bit more detail. It's not going to be into too much detail. Okay, what we've done, we've heard what a lot of the public has said. So tonight we just wanted to come see if the board had any interest. If the board has interest, we would like to have an informal public meeting with the public. Maybe we'll do what we did last time, we'll ask the museum if we can use their area to present this more fully to the public. As we've done some preliminary drawing, really haven't gone into detail because it's rather costly to go into detail. If there's interest, great. If there's not, we can move forward from there. So Nick pointed out a couple of things. One was being the size of the lot. The lot would increase by 50%. We have 20,550 square feet presently. It would increase another 10,000 square feet, which is a 48% increase in the size of the lot. There will be 4 more units needed, 3 of which would be market value, and we get 1 more COA unit. That's what's required from, I know, the town, from the state. So that would be an increase of 15% more units, with once again 48% more size and lot. When it comes to a lot of big points that came up, as most people would know, would be density, height, building coverage, parking, setbacks, etc. One main thing was building height. we would take all the amenities off the roof. This was requested of us from phase one. We put all the amenities down onto phase two property, which the main thing would be the pool, would be the, any of the things that we had up there. Really, it was mainly the pool, there's, I'm sorry, I lost my thing. Cabana, anything like that would go down, showers will go down onto the ground floor. Once we do that, there's no longer need for the elevator shaft to go up to the roof. Okay, the only thing that would be on the roof now would be just mechanical items, condensers, fans, to service the building below it. There would be a stair access, but no elevator access or no. So you'll see on that drawing right there, now maybe you can pull out the old drawing, it will drop the building 10 feet, okay, as far as that's concerned. So it's gonna go from, as Al's showing right there, the picture with the elevator shaft and the amenities and all the railings, they would all be gone. It would drop the building from approximately 48.6 feet to 38.6 feet, which doesn't come exactly in, it's lower than a COA of 42 feet, but it does not, it was mentioned to bring this down to the current standards of 35. Biggest reason you can't make 35 is because of the new floods that we have to meet. One of the things we did with the commercial is we raised the flood to 7 feet above sea level, and we put the floodgates for that. Once you did that, you can't squeeze three floors in 28 feet. So we have 3 floors essentially in 31 feet above now the commercial floor level is 7 feet above sea level. Another thing that was brought up, when we do this also with the increase of the land compared to the units, we have a density now of 46.7. The density would decrease about 26% down to 34.3. This is obviously a considerable drop in density from what was initially approved. Another thing brought up, building coverage. The building coverage right now is about 89%. It would go to approximately 67%. Okay, I might be off by a couple of percentages. Once again, when we start, if there's more interested and we start doing more development on this, we'll see how it all lays out and goes from there. Parking. We before had 37 parking spots with 6 for the commercial. We'd be able to increase to 49 parking spaces plus 6 commercial, which brings it from 1.85 units per parking spots per unit to about 2 parking spaces per unit. One other thing we were able to add, which was also asked of us, we'd lose a couple of parking spaces, that's what it wouldn't add to before, but we'd be able to create a loading zone on the property in the back of the commercial units. So all loading and unloading could go behind the building and not in front of it. The phase 2 lot coverage would be about 51%. So it's considerably less, and that's why we're able to bring the lot coverage down to the overall property. Last main thing was setbacks. With this, if this was to remain residential, we would have 5-foot side yard setbacks to the neighbors to the west. We'd be able to create 10 feet on the southern side, and on the northern side it would be 10 feet. But out of that, do you have that plan, Aaron? Can you flip back to the front one? If you look where the parking would be, there'd be a 10-foot buffer. If you can go to point to the top right, the other side of that. There's a 10-foot buffer right there between there and the parking. But between the buildings, there would be approximately a 35-foot buffer on the north side. On the south side, there would be a 10-foot buffer between the building and the property line. So we tried to, when we did these extra units, there's one separate building, which is going to be more like a house on the south side. On the north side, we attached the 2 units to the existing building to create as much setbacks as we possibly could. As you can see in the middle, that's where the swimming pool would be. And that, once again, be moved off the roof. We would create a landscape buffer between the neighbors to the west and the property with some, we haven't figured out yet what type of trees. We did this on one property where we were able to put in 8-foot trees and they can grow up to 10 or 12 foot for a landscape buffer, which we did not have before. And they're really, from what I'm remembering, unless I missed anything, gentlemen, Al, can you think of anything? They're the main points to address pretty much what we felt were the main concerns by most of the public and the boards that we went through. Beyond that, I'm open to questions. That's all we really have to present tonight.
Council, I guess we start with council. Any of you have any questions?
Can you just go over the setback again on the west side?
I'm sorry, was
On the
that?
west side, the setback is 5 feet?
West side, here's the west. This
So,
would be
yeah, 'cause
10,
that's the only side facing the residential
Correct.
area?
this is 10 feet right here.
That's 10 feet.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Tom slightly misspoke. It's a 20% increase in units, not 15% from.
Sorry about that.
24 is 20%.
So
It
the-
said 15, just for the
Right,
record.
so overall, the total is
Be
going to
24.
24 units, so 20 regular, 4 co-op,
That is correct.
right?
That is correct. Sorry, that was my mistake.
20 regular.
Five co-op, actually
Oh,
five co-op.
sorry. 19 market, 5 COAs. Okay.
And a 10-foot buffer to the residential?
10-foot buffer on this side to the residential. Technically, a buffer to a parking spot is considered a buffer. So 10 feet here to the parking spots, building to building, it's about 35 feet off the top of my head. But we have a 10-foot buffer on the building over here also. It's a full 10 feet, which was requested of us last time.
The other building, that's gonna be how many units?
2,
There's only be 2 units in
This is
the...
standalone building. 2 units.
Standalone building is going to be just like a house.
Mhm.
Al, do you have the, do you mind bringing that over? It's going to be just like a residential house. It's going to have 2 units in it. 2 units.
One per floor.
One per
I feel
floor.
like a duplex.
Essentially a duplex, which is the character of the street.
A
The
part of
street
the
pretty much
condominium
has duplexes.
association and all of that.
You know, included with it.
Yeah, it's all part of the condominium, so.
Yes, it'll be part of the condominium, it's just going to be a separate building. What we did is we added the one separate building here, and then right here, above these 4 parking spaces, we attach this onto the existing building.
And that's where you get the other 2.
That's where the other 2 units come from.
Okay.
Any other questions by council? I guess I have a question. If this were to fly, and I think this Emily, then that area would have to be added as redevelopment, correct? Or rehab?
Rehabilitation.
Right, rehab. And what would be the procedure for that? I mean, what would be, in other words, do we have to go back to square one, or what?
The 2 additional lots that they're referencing in this proposal actually were presented to mayor and council last July, for designation as an area in need of rehabilitation.
Right.
And Frank Little's office did a study to make that determination, and it was referred over to the planning board, the land use board. However, that's where it stopped.
Right.
So it would be my recommendation if council were to consider including those lots within this proposal, to, again, start the process over. It is a shorter process for that designation than it is for a redevelopment area designation, but there is still a public hearing held by the Land Use Board, introduction of the resolution, referral to the Land Use Board. Land Use Board will hold their hearing and review the study prepared by Frank's office. He can update that if necessary. And then the Land Use Board will make a recommendation back to mayor and council. If mayor and council and the Land Use Board make that determination that this is in fact an area in need of rehabilitation, they would then adopt the resolution designating the area. That will get sent to the DCA, and the DCA will review that and make a determination as to whether or not it will become effective.
Okay.
So, and then at that point, the redevelopment plan that is in place for Victoria Rose, for those properties, would either need to be amended to include these 2 parcels, and from what I'm hearing, we would definitely need to make some changes to what the standards are within that plan. And that would go through the same process of introduction via ordinance, referral to the Land Use Board. Land Use Board will hold a public hearing and determine consistency with the master plan, And then that will come back to mayor and council through adoption of a resolution by the land use board. And then the governing body will hold their public hearing on the amendment to the plan and then make a determination as to whether or not to adopt that plan. And then Mr. Bertucci and his group could come back to the land use board with an application that conforms with the new zoning for that. So that process will take a little while.
Mhm.
So it starts all over.
It does.
Mhm. Okay. At this point then, when this came up, I really wanted to hear what people in the community thought of this idea. And so I think this would be a good time to have open the floor to public comment regarding this project or the change in the project, because I think we'd all like to hear what other people are thinking. So I'm going to open the floor. I'd like you to keep your comments to about 3 minutes, so we're not here by 10 o'clock at night.
Nancy,
But,
can I add?
yeah, Dan?
As many of you here probably know, we just found out about this too, but, we wanted to hear what he had to say. If the public feels that we should have more talks in meetings about this, we'd be more than happy to do that. I just want to get that out front. And we're not trying to slide anything past anybody here. So
Right.
I'm perfectly happy if the public feels that they should come back and present to a larger audience in this venue, that's fine. I'm happy he's already agreed, mentioned that he's gonna, probably go with the museum or some other venue to have an informal public meeting. But, it's important, I know it's important to some of the people here, I recognize them from the last time we went through this. But this is just hearing what he has to say. There's not gonna be any formal action taken here tonight,
Absolutely.
so it's just informational purposes only.
And I think he could wait a couple weeks to present it again if there's, if there's any interest tonight, which would give time for more voters to hear about this. As I said, we wanted this to be very open to everybody, and we figured this was the best place to start. All right, so I'm opening the floor to public comments now.
Can we see the plans that you guys saw?
Yeah, oh, sorry. Yeah. That's a problem. Technically, they're presenting to us and you can't see. If it's on a slide now, we have these great, ability to project it.
It's probably-
So the pool is on the southwest side of the back of the building?
So, you got Bay Avenue here.
That right there is what's approved right now, okay? What was asked of us in a meeting, which was to move the amenities off the roof. That right there is phase 2. These are the 2 lots. So it would move the pool, all amenities off the roof of the building and put it down onto the 2 lots, onto ground level. And it will put it essentially an addition onto, right here is an addition onto the first building and put a second building, which is like a house right over here.
By the 2 lots, you mean the 2 where the post office is right now?
Where the post office. To look at this from, I'm sorry, I'm trying to do this. That is 1 lot, that is the second lot. 2 lots. The post office right now is right here.
Okay.
In fact, where the post office is, pretty much where the house will go.
And the box in the middle is the pool?
Box in the middle, that is the swimming pool, and that's the permeable pavers around it.
Okay. So is all parking in the middle and all the buildings on the street side?
The parking is exactly, on the initial building, there's really gonna be almost 0 changes. The changes to the initial building is the elevator shaft is gonna drop 10 feet. All the amenities are gonna come off the roof. They're the 2 main things that are gonna happen, and we're just gonna put an addition. This phase 2 is the second phase. Phase 1, when we proceed forward, phase 2 will come at a later date. Has to come that way anyway, because we're using this as a staging area. We have the post office here temporarily. This whole side's being used as a staging area. So this entire building will get built, and then we'd end up putting up this house in the addition. Literally be many months down the line.
That's the ground level floor plan. Then we got
This is ground level right now.
building up above that
Correct.
parking
Well,
area.
yeah, this is, Where does it show that? This is the home, this is the separate building, it's gonna look just like a house. That's gonna be, and it's gonna be ground level, 1 floor, 2 floors.
This is the view from Fifth Street. So you have under-building parking, a single door with a staircase inside, up to 1 unit on the 2nd floor and a 2nd unit on the 3rd floor.
And what are the other elements?
Just, do you wanna show that one first time?
So this is what was approved, and this is the view from 6th Street. This is the stair tower and the elevator shaft that go up to the roof. This railing here, this railing across here is the roof deck. That'll be completely eliminated. So now when you look at it
Right here.
from 6th Street, instead of this projecting up 10 more feet, it's going to be the ridge line of what was approved will continue around on 6th Street instead of the towers raising up to get to the roof. The railing goes away. This is all roof now.
Essentially,
Roof.
if you look down, if you don't mind picking that up, see the railing right there? The top of that railing essentially is almost equivalent to the top of the roof line now. So that everything above that you see above that railing is gonna be done.
So the height drops from a high point of 48.5 feet at the top of the elevator shaft to the 38.5 feet that we are proposing now.
One question, what is the height going to be of the standalone building?
I think 35,
35 feet.
35
So
feet.
that's going to be in code, okay, within current.
That's
Yes,
gonna be-
35 feet.
That's gonna be,
35 feet to the high point.
And can you show me where the loading zone is that's going to go in the back of the building?
right here, right next to the handicap spots. We removed a couple of parking spots here so vehicles can come back and to the loading zones. Right here is where the ramp is. Ramp to go to.
The loading zone will be inside the building and then.
Under the,
You're not gonna be able to get 18-wheel tractor trailers, but any type of box trucks, we have the height underneath there, any type of box trucks, not lower than 20, 22 feet, probably 20. What was that? FedEx trucks, any of that can now come in underneath the building.
Where's the standalone building?
Right here.
And
This
that's
right
part
here.
of, that's part of Victoria Road? No.
yes, that'll be part of the condominium. But it's right here.
I know it's black on black, I wish I had a highlighter. That's it right there. That helps you. That's the standalone building.
So you're incorporating what was going to be two single-family homes to the west of Victoria Road, you're now incorporating into the whole big picture.
Correct. In fact, if we did two, so this, I was mentioning before, the impervious of this is gonna be 51%. And that includes the pool, by the way. They consider pools impervious. I never could figure that one out, to be honest with you. Whereas with the two residential, you're allowed to, and I think they're just changing the code on it now, up to 75% impervious. So they're gonna be less impervious if there was with two single-family homes. We build very similar to what we built just over on Amber Street last year. The two single-family homes. It's gonna be a single-family home, garage and back, pool, decks, that's what we're doing. We would do two of them, one right here, one right there.
So the gal over there was saying if this doesn't get approved, and you go back to, well, if the lots to the west are gonna be
Single-family homes.
single family,
Mhm.
so if this idea gets scratched and you go back to your original idea of single family homes,
Mhm.
and we're putting them in a redevelopment or rehab area, right? If they try to get approval for them, I hope I'm on the right path. Well, it seems to me when you get approval for the redevelopment area, you get to push the envelope a little bit, right? The setbacks seem to get,
Actually, no, the setbacks of a single-family home, would be 5 feet. You're allowed 5 foot and 10. And the 5 foot it would actually be closer to the neighbor's property for the single-family homes.
or if it's a
And
single
that-
family home in a rehab area.
Well, it wouldn't be a rehab. If it doesn't go through, then it's residential lots. It's gonna be one or the other. It'll be either 2 residential lots, and that's what we were pointing out before, you'll be allowed to build you're allowed to build building coverage of 35%, up to 2,500 square foot per lot. We'd be able to have buildings on it. We will be slightly less than, as far as building. As far as lot coverage, we'd be probably close to the 70-75%. When I looked up my last properties we did, whereas phase 2 on this one will be about 52%. You are correct, generally a redevelopment zone would allow you more flexibility to do
I'm
it.
not for that.
But that's not what would happen here. And the whole thing would have to be approved all at once. I couldn't come back at redevelopment and then propose 10,000 square feet of building.
I think you're smart to put the pool where it is and give it off some space.
That's what we did.
I think the town would appreciate
Yeah,
it.
this is building right here. This is parking, by the way, gravel parking, so to keep it impervious. This is all open, that entire area. And it makes sense. It was asked of us in the fall to do this.
Did you set back, Tom,
Yes.
off the street, Fifth Street to your building?
I don't know, what is it, 5 feet, 5 feet,
Front yard setback 5 feet?
yes. I think it's gonna be pretty close to what your building is there, Bill. I'm not sure what your setback was. We tried to keep it a
Mine's
little,
not in the RA zone. That's in
Okay,
the
so-
residential district.
so we tried to keep it a little, and we tried to keep it about the height of your building also, if we could have.
Mine's not in the residential district.
Bill, I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying we're trying to keep the lines, but that's all.
So
Yes.
you're removing everything that you had up on the rooftop
Mhm.
previously. Does the rest of the design pretty much stay the same as far as the front elevation along Bay Avenue?
It's pretty much identical, except for you're not gonna see the railings, the pergola, the tower.
Right here, under phase 1, we have a railing. From this point over, it's railing, and it turns the corner, and all along 6th Street, it's all railing and the elevator tower, elevator and stair tower. All of that railing will be gone, so it'll be a continuous roof. It'll be very, it's very consistent. At this area here, the stair and elevator, we do need additional height for the elevator. So that will align, the top of that will align with the top of the ridge that we are proposing, or that has been approved for phase 1.
So there is a rooftop deck still?
No, no. So we need access to the roof. We do need access to
You
the
need
roof
access to the roof for,
by way of stair, and the elevator needs additional height.
To get to the second floor.
Right,
To
because
get to the second floor.
to get to the third floor.
third floor.
Because when an elevator goes up, you need 4 foot clear above the top of the elevator to the underside of the roof of the elevator shaft.
For mechanical.
For
That's for
safety.
mechanical reasons.
People
We're
working on
gonna
top
still
of the
have
elevator.
25 condensers up there. You're gonna have fans up there, which you won't see because it's all covered
Right.
from the roof.
They're below that ridge
They're
line.
below that ridge line, all the mechanicals. So it's just access to get up to them. Yes, I'm
Just a
sorry.
comment for the next time you all meet. I think it would be really helpful for people to see the entire block, like to see the design that's on the corner of Fifth Street now, and see what the proposed building is going to look like in conjunction with that. Because for me, I'm concerned aesthetically speaking, as well as all the other issues, but aesthetically speaking, I want to make sure that it's complementary to the new building that's on the corner, just to make it a cohesive look and that it's aesthetically pleasing on that block, because it will take up the entire block. So I think it would be helpful, when you're looking at a drawing that, or the picture of this building, it's tough to really get a feel for it with the scale, you know what I mean?
Definitely know what you mean, and that's
Yeah.
why we're here today. Just like council said, they didn't even know we were coming. We
Right.
just brought this up and asked. That's all we're asking, is there interest?
Yeah,
And if there's interest, we'll proceed forward with more stuff. If there isn't interest, we'll stop.
I appreciate
Okay,
the
so,
compromise.
and we were presenting these things that were brought to us last year, and we could do the whole block, and we will get renderings like this, but before we go forward, this, it was asked by council, what is the process? Or are we gonna have to, do something? If there's something that we can't do, we just want to get that out in the open now, before, even going forward, because it does take time to get this all pulled together. So if if there's interest from the public, if there's interest from the council, we will go to the next step. If there isn't interest, we can stop at any time.
Okay.
That's what it's for. But I can show the neighborhood as far as that's concerned. And is there anything else you'd like to show if we proceed forward?
I just think it's helpful for, especially those of us who are lay people and we're not professionals in that field, to really be able to see what it's going to look like in the neighborhood. And, I think everybody would have a clear understanding.
Well, let me comment on that just a little bit more. Just so you know, what's approved, and I was going to say this, the only thing that's changing, once again, is the roof line. From here down, on all four sides, except where the little addition is identical. There's no changes from what's been approved before. We actually designed, it's designed exactly the way it is before. We just took the amenities off the roof and put it down on the ground. And when we did that, it brought down the elevator shaft, so it's a thing. So any of the renderings that anybody has seen the last time we came, it's identical. There is no change. There's no change in the neighborhood. There's no change in the footprint. There's no change in anything as far as those are concerned. What's going to add on is the house and the one small, is the house here and the small amenities. But here's a perfect example. Take that off right there. Exactly what it's going to be like.
Right.
No changes.
I get that.
Okay.
I'm wondering how it's going to look next to the building on the corner. And so I think you have to just approach it one block at a time as you're going through town, and when there's a project going on that is, there's a new project on the corner, and then this will be the second new project, and I just think it would be helpful to be able to see the two, because you want to make sure that the block looks really good, and that the designs are really complementary. That's my only concern.
But we can do that, and just to comment on that a little bit more, the real main reason, and we'll definitely, obviously, meld it with the neighborhood as far as it's going to meld with the two new buildings next door, is the main points we brought up. Density going down, parking going down, impervious, height. They were the major concerns that were brought up to us. There's not much more. That's really the decision that has to be made. Does council, us, the public, want us to go forward with this phase 2 to, from what we were told, not set a precedent on height, not set a precedent on higher density, not set the precedent on parking? That's what the major things that the public stressed on this unit before. That's why this is here, okay? Because, once again, whether we put two houses or the one house with the thing with the phase 2, it's going to be very similar. Instead of seeing one pool, you're going to see two. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be the residential look. The phase 2 is going to have more the landscaped house look, pool in the backyard look. Whereas same with that's what it's going to be, the residential. So it's going to meet it's going to be more in character as far as a home with the other homes down the street. But once again, that's not what we're doing. We're doing it for those several major reasons that were brought up: parking, density, height. And that was, as you know, brought up time and time and time again. And that's what we're trying to address here.
Thank you.
Yes.
You said, how many additional parking spaces did you say this project has?
Approximately, we're gonna get 12. There's actually gonna be, am I correct in saying this out? There's 14 more parking spaces gonna be added, but we're gonna take away a couple of parking spaces for the loading zone. So I think it's 11 or 12 parking spaces.
And where are they?
Oh, where are the parking?
Yeah, you do parking spaces. Where
Okay.
is that on there?
Okay. See the house?
Uh-huh.
The way it is with this building, 4 parking spaces are gonna be put right underneath the hump. Over on this side, this is where the addition is. 4 parking spaces are put here, underneath the building. And then another 6 parking spaces are putting in here. They're gonna be just wide open.
So we're just really, when you think about it, the house is getting their 4 parking spaces.
The house is getting.
So
the 4.
really for the rest of the whole project, then it's
It's getting
like
another
10.
Yeah, for 2. Essentially, the house is getting 4 for 2 units.
Right.
This is getting 10 more for 2 units. It's obviously not 10 for 2, it's gonna be for the entire complex. The actual parking per unit went from 1.85 to about 2. So it gave a little bit more parking per unit. That's what it did. Just added as much, that was another thing that was brought up, is get as much parking as possible.
So those will be designated parking spaces to the unit that you buy, right?
I forget
Which
exactly.
is how
well,
it's
there's-
normally
there's-
done. You buy a
there's-
condo, you have 2
You have your
designated
spaces
parking
and you can
But yeah,
designate.
yeah, just 1 minute. Because we need to document this, I've
Sorry.
known everybody, I know
Yeah.
Eileen and I know you,
got
but
it.
I don't know your addresses. I just know your
1960.
address. So, if you know, it'd be really helpful if just you got up and made your question at the microphone and just stated your name and address.
Everyone else I've been able to, I
Yeah,
know.
that way it'd also be better for the recording, all right? So would you mind doing that?
Thanks.
It's gonna be shaded pool, right? The pool will be in the shade.
Yeah, this is-
Half of the day.
We actually thought about that a little bit. Here's the sun. So it's gonna come up here and it's gonna go like this. We were thinking of actually putting this over here and making this one continuous. Actually brought this up last year. And we still can do that. I mean, we're at the point where we can leave this entire side open and then put the extra space right here, okay? Which would help with the sun, but one thing that was commented, they didn't want to see the building this long on 6th Street. To me, it's 6 and 1/2 dozen the other. I can do it either way, depending upon what comments we get from that. It would be, when we were doing this, it would be more open. Because then you think about it, this entire area would be either pool or open or landscaped. And then this would be building right here.
Then
And
you
still
have
would have the
the-
10-foot buffer.
The spotted tooth, I think, under that, would spotted whale.
We'd still keep a couple of parking spaces on this side though.
Sorry. But that's gonna help shade it too, if it's over on that side.
Would shade, I'm sorry, no one wants to the
Just
shade.
like in the building.
There'd be no building there.
In the summertime,
You move over.
Okay.
Sun starts up over here, ends up over here. So it's rises in the east and comes down,
Yeah.
and depending upon the time of year, obviously. Winter, it's down here, summer, it's more like that.
Summertime, it's high up in the sky.
See that comment right there? That's why we're here today. Because I could come in with another plan, basic, showing it over here.
Yeah.
And like I said, the only reason was it was brought up, someone brought it up to me that it would just seem like it's a very long wall, which it would be. I'm saying it wouldn't be along 6th Street. This is what faces though Fantasy Island. I think the Ben and Jerry's I think is there, and a couple other things.
Are they designated parking spaces?
We haven't gotten that far, but yes, I'm sure there's gonna be designated parking spaces. We know we already have to designate a couple for the post office, one for each commercial, and there's gonna be at least one for each residential, and then you might leave open, or you can, you know, we haven't really gotten that far into it.
Okay, at this point, do we have any public comment? Yeah, could you come up to the microphone? State your name and address, and you can also ask questions as well. Thank you.
Jim Lambert, 516 North Atlantic Avenue, Beach Haven. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Council. I just want to say that this proposal that we heard tonight is not consistent in any way with the Borough Master Plan. Those two lots in question, number 6 and 17, are zoned RA, which is single-family residential. It's the most restrictive zoning in the borough. Those two empty lots, they're currently gravel. I don't see how they can be considered an area in need of redevelopment. The RA zoning regulations include a maximum height of 35 feet, maximum FAR of 50%, a front setback of 15-foot minimum, aggregate side yard setbacks of 16 feet, building coverage is 35% maximum, impervious coverage is 75% maximum with 25% natural ground cover required, and if those lots are included in the affordable housing overlay, there's a buffer required of 25 feet to any adjacent residence. I'd like to read an excerpt. There's a few excerpts from the Borough Master Plan. This is the most current one that was adopted in April of 2018. The affordable housing, this is on page 18 of the land use chapter. The affordable housing overlay zone will regulate said development through bulk and design standards. However, the borough's underlying zoning will still be in effect. Same chapter, same page. This will allow affordable housing to be approved under local ordinance and regulations without detriment to the existing borough zoning plan and ordinance. Page 26 from the land use chapter. Again, I read verbatim. Due to the increased construction in the borough and the increase in the amount of contractors coming into the community, it is important that construction codes, particularly life safety issues and land use ordinances, are respected. Page 27, land use chapter, I read verbatim again. Monetary or development incentives should be offered to investors who pursue inclusionary zoning as part of a redevelopment project. An allowable density of 18 residential units per acre could be permitted, which would allow for more housing options in the town center and also be financially practical for the developer. Historical preservation chapter, page 2. I read verbatim. Residents and visitors are attracted to Beach Haven's character and the charm of its physical setting. This charm is a fragile commodity, one that is vulnerable if style and scale are not respected. As the community evolves and changes over time, important aspects of community character may be lost if they are not preserved in a proactive manner. The risks include the disruption of neighborhood cohesiveness when inappropriate new construction violates the scale and rhythm of the street. From the Beach Haven Land Use Regs, Chapter 212-6, I quote, "The regulations set by this chapter within each district shall be minimum regulations and shall apply uniformly to each class or kind of structure or land, except as hereinafter provided." And big letter B, "No building or other structure shall hereafter be erected or altered to exceed the height, to accommodate or house a greater number of families, to occupy a greater percentage of lot area, or to have narrower or smaller rear yards, front yards, side yards, or other open spaces than herein required, or in any other manner contrary to the provisions of this chapter." Ordinance number 2017-23C, which is when the borough adopted the Fair Share Housing Agreement in October of 2017, which was 6 months before the Victoria Rose made their application for redevelopment. Again, I quote, "This requirement does not create any entitlement for a property owner or applicant for a zoning amendment, variance, or adoption of a redevelopment plan or amended redevelopment plan in areas in need of redevelopment or rehabilitation, or for approval of any particular proposed project." There's also, whatever happens on this property, there's some great recommendations in the master plan in the storm sewer inventory. Page 24, it says replace impervious paving with pervious paving and provide pervious sidewalks. That's great. Provide roof drainage dry wells with infiltration piping for all new construction. Provide parking area detention to limit the impact of intense rainfalls. Limit roof area size and reduce building coverage. Reduce roadway pavement width. On page 29, it says possible methods include the installation of underground detention and infiltration piping, surface detention, and connecting individual lot roof drainage to underground infiltration trenches. And in addition, I would recommend that we install bulkheads from 5th to 7th Street, because there is no bulkhead presently. My last comment is just please do not allow any relief from the current RA zoning regulations as they apply to these two lots. Thank you.
Anybody else like to come forward? Point. Nobody? Okay, I close the floor to public comment, and we'll continue with our regular agenda, which is the manager's report. Are you going to read that?
Yep. I have the Department of Revenue and Finance
Thank you.
report.
Thank you.
Cash receipts in the current fund account for the period of February 1st, 2019 to February 28th were $3,170,805.15. Cash disbursement, excuse me, cash disbursement in the current fund account for the month of February 2019 totaled $3,352,544.76. The cash balance in the current fund account as of this period totaled $14,622,531.30. Cash receipts in the water utility account for the period of February 1st through February 28th were $90,828.32. Cash disbursement in the water utility account for the month of February 2019 totaled $45,332.36. The cash balance in the water utility account as of February 28th was $3,487,947.74. Cash management fund current account is $186,056.91. Cash management fund water utility account is at $14,498.20.
Now we have the approval of minutes. You want to read those?
Sure, we have February 11th, 2019 regular meeting, February 28th, 2019 agenda meeting, and February 28th, 2019 executive session.
Did everybody read the minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Ballmiller?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes. Okay, now we start with the ordinances.
Sure, we have 3 ordinances for at second reading, final adoption. We have 2019-3C, an ordinance amending Chapter 212, zoning of the Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, as it pertains to trash corrals. Final reading.
This is final reading, so I have opened the floor to public comment. If anybody has public comment. Okay, I'll close the floor. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Ballmiller?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
We have 2019-4C, an ordinance rescinding Chapter 157, roller rink of the Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, final reading.
Again, open the floor to public. This is just, we're just removing the words roller rink because it's not, it's where the pickleball courts are, and it's not really used as a roller rink anymore. Not building a new roller rink or anything like that. If anybody would like to come up and comment, this is your chance. I'm opening the floor. Now I'm closing the floor. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Ballmiller?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
2019-7C, an ordinance amending Chapter 27, Section 59, Paragraph B of the Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, which shall amend to the Borough Family and Medical Leave Act policy concerning the use of sick leave while on statutory leave. Final reading.
Again, this is just a very small change in this, which clarifies it a little bit. If anybody would like to get up and speak, this is your moment. Okay, I close the floor. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mrs. Ballmiller?
Yes.
Mr. Allen, sorry.
Yep.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
2019-6C, an ordinance amending Chapter 144, Section 6 of the Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, peddling and soliciting, license fees, bidding, and insurance requirements. First reading.
This is first reading, so there's no public comment, and this is basically pretty standard procedure of what we do every year. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Ballmiller?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
2019 8C, an ordinance amending Chapter 27, Personnel of the Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, as it pertains to the operation of motor vehicle and driver's license.
And this is just for people working for the borough. Again, is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Ballmiller?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
2019 9C, an ordinance amending Chapter 212 zoning of the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, 2000, concerning impervious lot coverage requirements.
This is new, and the master plan is stating that we would like to have 40% of the lot as pervious. And this is an ordinance requiring this. It also requires a few other things. For example, in commercial areas, any new parking lots or driveways have to be composed of pervious materials. As far as residential goes, right now our ordinance says that a driveway and a parking space don't count, even if they are pervious, they don't count as pervious in the lot coverage. We're allowing, if somebody puts in really pervious materials, which would be fine, and that wouldn't include clamshells, they would get an extra 15% towards their pervious coverage. Basically, clamshells can be used as pervious in other parts of the lot, but when you drive on clamshells constantly, they pack down very hard and they become impervious. So we're looking for materials that actually water can percolate through. Included in the ordinance is a diagram of how pervious materials should be installed. And that, what we've learned is that what is underneath the surface is what's the most important in allowing water to percolate into the ground. We've also required something different, which is an 18-inch buffer zone along the setbacks of a lot, which would definitely be pervious along the setbacks, an 18-inch, did I say feet? 18 inches. The one thing that, and I was making a lot of phone calls before the meeting, because in the discussion of this, I really do want to include some green area in the pervious area. And the reason being is that when you have green area meaning trees or grass or things that have leaves on them, basically this has a profound effect on the environment. And we really don't require this at the moment. After talks with Frank Little this afternoon and Allison, he persuaded me that we need more discussion about this as to where that should be, and we would have to introduce another ordinance. So in order to be able to move this forward to meet the master plan so that anybody new coming in that's building would have to apply to this, I really wanted to get this moving and have the first reading, because this won't go into effect, as you see, until May 8th anyway. So basically, that's why I'd like to push this forward. We don't have public discussion at this point, but is there a motion to approve this?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Ballmiller?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Resolutions within consent agenda. All matters listed under item consent agenda are considered to be routine by the municipal council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by certification of availability of funds, and any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed separately. All consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes. 52, authorizing the refund of payments for recycling and garbage cans. 53, approving certified list of eligible members for the Beach Haven First Aid Squad for 2018 LoSAP. 54, approving certified list of eligible members for Beach Haven Volunteer Fire Company Number 1 for their 2018 LoSAP. 56, returning of piling bonds. 59, authorizing a shared service agreement with Tuckerton Borough for the use of a vac truck and operator. 62, authorizing the execution of a shared service agreement between the Borough of Beach Haven and the Township of Long Beach under the shared service for the provision of a municipal transportation system. 63, a resolution authorizing the Borough of Beach Haven to advertise for bids for ice cream vendors. 64, resolution of local commitment for Resilient New Jersey grant program. 65, refunding taxes paid due to state tax appeal for 2018. 66, returning dumpster bond for Pearl Street Market. 67, authorizing to advertise for bids for the 2019 Veterans Park Lighting Project. 68, executing a shared service agreement with Ocean County for fire inspection services. 69, executing an agreement with Dynamic Testing for drug and alcohol testing. 71, acknowledging the execution of an employment contract for Michael Wink, as Assistant Water Utility Supervisor. 72, reappointing Christy Davis as Deputy Registrar of Vital Statistics. 73, approving and executing a grant agreement with Recycling Partnership. 74, awarding a contract to Schaefer Systems International, Inc. for the HGAC garbage and recycling cans. And finally, 75, a resolution approving the purchase of a police vehicle and related police equipment.
Would anybody on council like to remove any of these for separate discussion? No? Therefore, is there a motion to approve the resolutions as read?
I'll make a motion.
No second?
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowmiller?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes. Approval of bills?
Oh, I skipped over that, sorry. We have a bill list totaling the amount of $1,439,514.96.
Any questions? Pretty straightforward, this one. Okay, is there a motion to approve the bills?
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
No second?
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowmiller?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes. Okay, now I'm opening the floor to public comment. At this time, anybody that would like to comment, please come up. Comment?
Kitty Snyder, 120 Berkeley. Just want to applaud you for this 9C. It's about time. It's awesome. And hurry up with the greens that are going on. It's awesome. So happy.
Here, Katie.
I'm just really happy about the impervious coverage being reduced and you thinking about it and moving forward with it. It's awesome. It's super important. And just thank you for that. And as far as the lighting for the park, since we just started this new committee for that, I mean, is it design already done, or who can I talk to about that?
I don't know, we can talk, I think we can
I'll
talk
sure.
about that.
All right.
I really,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to come forward and speak?
Good evening, my name is William Barris, I live at 100 Northwest Avenue. The other day I sent an email, but tonight I'd like to formally propose our project at Foster's Farm Market. It's an inclusionary development that's located in the business district. There will be 6 residential condominiums above the first floor, one which will be set aside as an affordable rental unit complying with the COA 15% requirement. The top of the plate of our 3rd floor will be a total height of, actually, our total height of our building is 35 feet. The top of our plate will be 31 feet. We typically sell commercial units. On the ground floor, there will be 3 commercial units, likely one to be the replacement for Foster's Farm Market. We choose that principals and not tenants. We also restrict the rentals on our residential property so that those buying them have to live there. We put 6 months minimum rental in place. Jeff Wells is our architect of record for this project, and that's what we have. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to make it clear, because I think people don't understand, in the COA agreement, if you're selling a COA unit, you have to put in 20% of your COA units, and it's rounded up. If you're, for example, like if you have 20 COA units, you have to do 4, but if you have 21, you have to do 5. So that's how, with rental, it's 15%. So in the case of this project, they would need 1 COA unit, which is 0.9% of their 6 at 15%. I was a little questioned, I don't know if Emily can answer this. I did talk to her earlier this week, but I'm a little confused with the rental, how that works. Can you answer that? I mean, who owns the rental units and who's actually renting them?
So I have a question for Mr. Burrs with the proposal is, are you suggesting that you're selling the residential units and keeping one as a COA rental?
The entire complex is a condominium. So there's going to be 3 commercial units downstairs, 6 residential units upstairs, for a total of 9 condominiums.
And you're selling each
Everything
of
is
those
going to be
condominiums?
sold, and the COA unit will be owned by us with a restriction that my understanding is stays in place for 30 years.
So the deed restriction is, but because it's a for sale project, the requirement is 20%. If
That's
it were
not true. I'm sorry. Okay.
I read through the ordinance, as Nancy and I discussed. I will discuss it with CME to confirm. But
I think you should discuss it with your COA council, because we've discussed it with ours and we've done this before. But listen, we're not going to argue about this tonight.
But you have, I think that it's the same, you have, we will.
I don't know.
The COA unit is not a for sale unit, it's a for rent unit.
I
The reason for
understand
that
what the
is, and the
project.
reason for the incentive to builders is because most of the people, and you have the list and you've got their qualifications, most of the people who need COA units can't afford to purchase. They want to rent. So they give a bonus to builders to do rental units. I disagree with you, but if you get a finding on that, let's get back to council and we
And
can
as I
resolve it.
said, I have to check with CME, and we could check with co-counsel as well, but I read the ordinance, and when the project is a for-sale project, it's not an individual unit, but it is a project. And so we disagree tonight, we will
Okay.
find out, we'll figure out what the correct percentage is, but I
Let me
don't want
know
to
right away
mislead
because
anyone.
we're spending money. So, I mean, we think we're in compliance. Our COA council told us we're in
Well,
compliance.
don't spend any money yet, because you're
Well,
just doing a proposal.
I guess
so-
that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna wait for you to figure it out, but we need to know soon. We can't be waiting like we are on the other issue for, endless amounts of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Any other public comment? No more public comments. Therefore, I close the floor to public comment. And we have final remarks by council. Dan?
There's a lot to take in this week. I'm impressed with the EMTs, the Beach Haven First Aid Squad. If the gentleman was still here, I would have thanked him personally for how quickly and what great care they took of my father. It was really,
Yeah.
as I'm sure they do on every case, it was a very nice thing. The Victoria Rose project, again, it's just a first look. We're getting it, we got notified too, so any input we can get from the public would help. That way we don't run into the situation we ran into last time this project was in front of us. And I hope it goes smoother. I was involved in all the land use meetings, and the thought of going through all of it again kind of, turns my stomach a little bit. But if it makes it a better project, I'm more than willing to sit and do it.
Jamie?
To echo what you just said, there's a lot to take in at this meeting, especially as far as redevelopment. Ever since I've been elected, I've been reading about redevelopment, and I really haven't found any redevelopment along the coastline as of yet, and I've been searching. It's more kind of inland. And actually, Cape May was just at the crossroads of their redevelopment debacle. I don't want to say debacle, but they were at the crossroads whether or not they were going to move forward with redevelopment or not, and they actually chose not to. So,
That is
in
not-
January, I just read
They haven't decided not to.
the land use board decision in Cape May.
Yeah, I don't want you to misspeak.
Okay, because that's what the article that I just read in the paper.
Okay.
So again, you know, I'm still,
news!
I'm still on the fence about redevelopment. I just keep doing my research as much as I can, just to do the best for this town, so. Other than that, about the impervious ordinance, I'm excited about that, moving forward with smart growth, because a lot in our master plan, we have a lot of what's going to be happening in the future, environmentally speaking, coastal flooding, all that great stuff. So, you know, we need to build sustainably and we need to build smart. So I'm glad that we're moving forward with that impervious lot coverage requirements.
Thank you. I just want to say a couple things. Actually, Atlantic City does lots of redevelopment, but that's understandable.
Yeah.
I just want to mention that the Army Corps report came out on their back-based studies, and it's rather draconian. They want to do things like put up just suggestions, shutter or gates at the inlet to close the inlet off if there's a storm. They didn't address nuisance flooding. This all has to do with big storms and the rising tides. I am attending a webinar about this on Thursday, as well as there's an alliance for the studies of the coastal areas, which started in Cape May County and Atlantic County, and there's a meeting in Wildwood with that group to discuss this on Thursday, which I'm going to. I really was somewhat disappointed in the Army Corps' report. I thought it was extreme and would really be detrimental to the coastal areas, and I think we have to think more in terms of nature by creating more pervious land in town and dealing with living shorelines and trying to deal with the problems that we're facing that way. But it'll be interesting to hear what other people have to say. Again, I don't really have too much else to say. Tom Lynch, our other councilman, had surgery today. That is why he's not here. He had a knee replaced, so I'm hoping he's feeling well. And therefore, I'll end my public comment. And so we have my remark. So we have one more thing to do, which is a resolution for executive session.
Yes, we have Resolution 70, 2019, authorizing executive session. It's for pending litigation, Lambert versus Beach Haven Land Use Board. We'll be in session for approximately, not an hour, about half an hour. And no formal action will be taken.
Correct. Okay, so is there a motion to approve the resolution 770 authorizing the executive session?
I'll second.
Mr. Allen?
Yep.
Mrs. Bowmiller?
Yep.
Mayor Davis?
Yes. And I guess we don't have adjournment until after the end of the private session.
We have to make a motion to recess.
Yeah, we have, that's right. Is there a motion to recess?
Motion to recess.
Second?
I'll second.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.